Hello, my name's Simon Hilton and welcome to Comparative Agility. In this video, I'll be showing you the overview section of the Comparative Agility report. Here at the top of the report, we'll see the overview section, and the first graph you'll see is this one. Here we can see a great bird's eye view of all of the responses received in our collector. The blue columns represent a positive difference between your dataset and the comparative dataset. The orange columns represent a negative difference between your dataset and the comparative dataset. Already I can start to see some interesting things that I might want to dive in on. I can see that knowledge creation and outcomes are largely moving in a positive direction with all blue columns in their spaces. But over here at technical practices, I'm seeing some quite large columns with a negative difference. So I might want to dive in and see what's going on there. To do that, all I need to do is click on that section and it will break it out into the question sets inside technical practices. Immediately I'll want to probably move over here to collective code ownership. And I can see that there's been a negative difference between one question and this question. The team can change any code in the system, even code written by other teams. A negative difference of 1.83 between your dataset and the comparative dataset. Again, I might feel that this is something I want to talk about in my workshop, so I'll take note of that. I can then move back up to the overview section and also maybe start looking for irregularities in the responses in each section. So for example, outcomes has much more of a uniform view of where the responses come from, whereas technical practices and in teamwork seem to be up and down. I'll probably want to take a look at that. Over here on the right, I can see this drop down, which will allow me to see some other graphs within the overview section. The first one is averages. This will show me the average scores in my dataset. Here again, I can see the average score of 4.62 is largely the same across outcomes. The average score of 3.95 in teamwork, there's a few here that I might want to check out, which don't seem to reach that average. Similarly, here in technical practices, I can see some pretty big differences between automated unit and acceptance tests versus collective code ownership. This will provide me with a way to zoom in on some questions during my workshop. I also have access to the distributional characteristics view. This shows us the amount of agreement in responses when we look at each question. Essentially, the bottom of the line will show you the minimum response received for that question, and the top of the line will show you the maximum response received for that question. And the box will show you where most of the responses were clustered. So for example, if I click on knowledge creation, I can see that in this question, the maximum received was 5, the minimum received was 4, and most were clustered around 5. So yeah, people seem to agree on this question. But if I go back and find something like test-driven development, or actually let's take a look at this one, technical debt. The minimum received was 1, the maximum received was 5, and the responses are clustered around 1.5 to 5. Just by seeing this long box, I can start to see that people aren't agreeing on this question. And it's something I might want to bring up inside my workshop. Another view to understand this distribution is the heat map. Here, I can see just by the orange coloring, the dark orange showing where a lot of responses have been received, versus light orange or no coloring, which will show you no responses. I start to see where people how people are responding to that question. So for example, over here again, team holds a retrospective. Most people are responding true. 9 people answered that. Versus the 2 that answered more true than false, and 0 that answered in this section. Whereas if I go to another question, like all bugs are fixed during iteration, I can see 4 people answered true, 4 people answered more than true, 2 people answered neither false, and so on. 1, 2, and I can start to see where people actually answered. And that is the Overview tab on Comparative Agility Report. Have a great day.